Good morning, everybody. I'm in the shade of the tree. There we go. I'm in Sedona still. I have my Arizona t-shirt on. And yeah, it's just gorgeous here. I just love it. I could stay here a lot longer, but I do need to start making my way a little bit further south and west. I don't want to do the drive all in one day because then I'll pay for it physically for a couple of days. So I have to start heading towards Prescott now. I'm at Montezuma's Castle. I'm pretty excited. This is something I've wanted to see since seeing it in the National Geographic magazine when I was a little kid. So intriguing. So Montezuma's Castle. Montezuma has never been to Montezuma's Castle. Europeans made up that name because it sounded exotic, and it does. It's also not a castle. It was built and inhabited by just average people, and probably about up to 50 people lived in it. Wow, look at that. Montezuma's Castle, it was built somewhere between 1100 and 1400 AD. It was actually part of a larger community. Some of these, you'll see some kind of holes or doorways. Those were separate dwellings, and there were also some others at the base of this limestone cliff. They believe that it could have been about 200 people lived here, and it was a farming village. The farming community thrived until around 1350 to 1400. They believe that there was possibly conflict. They believe the soils got depleted, that the environment was changing. It was getting drier, kind of like the other cliff dwellers from the Walnut Creek Canyon. These people had the similar fate. We refer to them as Sinagua, the people here, but that is not a name that they ever called themselves. It's a name coined by a professor, I believe, in the 1930s, and it's more to do with the region, the people that came from this region. The castle's not as big as it looks. It has 20 rooms, but they're all pretty small. Originally, they accessed the castle with a series of ladders. So this wasn't actually a castle. It's here for practical reasons. They built it inside of this limestone cliff, so they wouldn't have to build a ceiling and 4 walls. It also, because it's buried into the side of the cliff, it stays cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And it's in this area because this area has a creek nearby, so access to water. It has an abundance of wildlife and at least at one time fertile soils. The people here lived principally by farming and supplemented their staple crops by hunting and gathering. They hunted deer and antelope, ducks, bear, muskrat, rabbits, but they did rely heavily on corn for their diet. This is a velvet mesquite tree. It's a large, kind of sprawling tree. The people of the Verde Valley used the seeds to make a flour, and they used that flour to make cakes, and it provided a staple protein for them. They also used the sap for resin and adhesives, and they also used this tree for its medicinal properties. It treated eye and skin ailments as well as the common cold. This is another structure that's no longer standing. They call it Castle A. It was actually a larger structure, 45 rooms, but most of it is gone now. The walls have fallen. But if you look closely, you can see it sort of took up this whole area. You can see bits of the walls. This is Beaver Creek, a lifeline to the Sinagua people. These are Arizona sycamore trees, and they are Arizona's largest tree. They have star-shaped leaves, and these trees were used to support those structures in the cliff. And they have one of the most beautiful trunks or bark I've ever seen. Kind of looks like a very subtle camouflage.
Over 7 centuries ago, and receiving an invitation into this cliff-dwelling home, what you would have seen might well have been something like this cutaway model of Montezuma Castle. On the top floor, the elderly village lookout keeps his solitary vigil. His eyes search for approaching danger to those working the fields below the castle. It seems that over the ages, children and their actions change very little. On the 4th floor, you will find a concerned mother scurrying to reach her adventuresome son, precariously balanced on the edge of the roof. On the 3rd floor, an aging man leads his blind wife across the balcony. You'll also meet women busily preparing food, getting supplies from storerooms, making pottery and grinding corn. Usually women ground the corn, their staple food, only in small as-needed quantities and prepared it in various ways. Weavers used the 2nd floor loom to weave cotton breechcloths, bags, and blankets. Today, you can see examples of their varied weaving patterns in the visitor center. Villagers used the wooden ladders as stairways to carry up provisions from fields and water from Beaver Creek. On the ledge at the base of the central tower-like section, a man prepares to start a fire using a friction drill. Nearby, a young woman awaits the returning hunters who bring wild game as variety to the village diet. We encourage you to think beyond ancient stone walls and vacant rooms to the remains of a once vibrant village. A village of people who experienced wants and needs, anxieties and fears, joys and sorrows, just as you and I today.
Look at this massive sycamore tree. Beautiful. They ended tours, actual walking tours of the ruins here to the public in 1951 because of its heavy impact on this fragile historic site. So in 1951 they also made that talking diorama, sort of to replace the walking tours. So it's actually a piece of modern history. What an amazing place. Yeah, I feel like we're lucky to still have this piece of history intact for us to come and visit. Pretty incredible. I want to thank everybody for coming with me today, and I'll see you down the road.